Where do we stand with Kemba right now?
Well, at practice, Thibodeau indicated against Detroit that Kemba would probably start.
Mm.
Uh, it looks like Derek is a game time decision, but I'm not sure if he's ready. So Thibodeau is ready to go back to Kemba, but that might be it. I think once Derek is back in full capacity, I think Kemba is not going to have a role. I didn't get a good vibe after that game. I felt there was tension. Thibodeau was very reserved. He was complimentary of Kemba, but I thought he was not effusive. And you could tell that Kemba is very bitter. He's been trying to say the right things, but too much came out saying, I know I deserve to play. And when we asked him, does he want to be here in the future? He says, I want to play, which basically is saying if Thibodeau has no role for him, he wants to be moved. But right now with this COVID craziness, I don't know how you trade him. You need him as a depth piece, especially now with 6 positives. I don't know if anyone's coming back for the Detroit game. They're going to have all 6 guys still in protocols.
Yeah, at this point right now, Mark, it seems like we need him. And look, I understood Tibbs' decision because I understood things weren't working. Although when he did make the decision, I didn't like the fact that he drew the line in the sand, just saying, he's out of the rotation completely. Because I just felt like this team was so average at this point that he shouldn't have made that, type of declarative statement, especially when the offense was stuck in the mud. And we needed an effective point guard play. We needed a scoring punch, and I still thought he could give us that. So I just didn't like the way that the organization had handled it. Do you feel like, Kemba was kind of forced on Tibbs, like it was more of a front office's decision rather than Tibbs kind of co-signing it?
Well, that's definitely the way it's looking like now. I wrote maybe a couple of weeks ago that the analytics department had influence in this signing. Although his analytics weren't too great last season, but I was told that they had an influence. Thibodeau doesn't like small guards, but you hit it on the head when you said it was such a severe move with Thibodeau. If you recall last season, his big catchphrase when he took someone out of the rotation, he used the word situational.
Situational, yeah, right.
But with Kemba, it wasn't situational.
Yeah.
It was he's out of the rotation, meaning he's not playing. And it took 6 COVIDs and the Rose ankle injury for him to get in there. I think in Houston, I've been watching Kemba on the bench quite a bit to see his reactions. And we were close to the bench in Houston. And I could see he was cheering a little bit, but he was definitely less emphatic on the bench. That was a kick in the gut to him. All those guys were out, and he still didn't go to Kemba. Listen, it worked out. They won the game. Miles McBride played all 24 minutes in the second half. But Kemba has a big ego, and he should have played a few minutes.
Yeah.
Miles did great, but it hurt Kemba, and you could tell after the game in Boston that Kemba has been disrespected. And I asked him point blank, have you spoken, as Thibodeau explained it to him? He said no. Have you talked to him about it? No. Are you confused? And he was like, it is what it is. And then he raved about Johnny Bryant, the assistant coach, who has worked out with him and talked to him and been in his ear. So Thibodeau said today, I talked to the team as a group. I'll talk to a player individually if it's appropriate. And apparently it hasn't been appropriate.
Yeah, very surprising. Very surprising. And then to add insult to injury, for the fans, you have Kemba and Fournier having monster nights in Boston combined for 61 points, and they don't even put the interviews up on the website. The interviews are nowhere to be found. I guess they felt like the Selden interview would have been much more compelling, but the fans would have certainly loved to hear what Kemba and Fournier had to say after that type of night, even though they lost.
Listen, some fans had emailed me about that, and I mentioned it in my story, and I actually took some heat from the Knicks PR staff about it. Yeah, listen, Kemba, the post-game interview wasn't something that I'm sure the Knicks would want all their fans to see. When he's asked, "You want to be here?" and he says, "I want to play."
Yeah.
So, and Evan Fournier was very complimentary of Kemba. And, Evan has always been, from the very beginning of this demotion, Evan has always supported Kemba when we've talked to him. The only person that seemed very enthused about Kemba's benching was Julius Randle. I remember that first day, Julius said, yeah, we're going to have more size and we'll be able to switch more. And I think you're going to see this team really come together and click. It was quite a statement. It didn't happen.
Yeah.
But you could tell that Julius was looking forward to life without Kemba because he was struggling and maybe he thought the chemistry with Kemba wasn't correct.